All right, we are reviewing parts of chapter 3 and parts of chapter 4, mostly just the linear relationships and equations. So here is a word bank. I'd like you to pause the video and fill it in. Number 1, the point 0, 0 on a coordinate plane. It is the point of intersection for the x and y axis. This would be the origin. Number 2, the vertical up and down change, or the difference between any 2 points on a line in the coordinate plane. So we always say rise over run. So the horizontal, left to right, change or difference between any 2 points. We'd say run, right? You go running, you're going from left to right. The ratio of vertical rise to horizontal run, which would be your slope. So that's your change in your y over your change in your x. It's your rise over your run. The amount a quantity changes over time. A function's output changes for each unit of change in the input, slope of a line. Rate of change. The set of x values or input into a function. That would be domain. The set of y values or output of a function. That would be range. The y value of a point where it crosses the y-axis. So if you have a crossing the y-axis, this would be your y-intercept. The x value of a point where the line crosses the x-axis would be your x-intercept. It says an equation when graphed creates a straight line. So that'd be a linear equation. It says a linear equation written in the form ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers and where a and b are not both 0. It includes variables on one side of the equation and a constant on the other. We would call this standard form. It says a pairing between two sets of numbers in which each the element of the first is paired with exactly one element of the second set. So an example, we'd say 1 would go to 2. If you see 1 again, it has to go to 2. 3 can go to 7. If you have 1 going to 8, that's not a function, okay? But if it is, that's a function. A function for which the graph is a non-vertical straight line, that's a linear function. Blank. An equation of a straight line non-vertical written in the form y equals x plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept, would be slope-intercept form. An equation given in this form would be point slope. And then it says, if the slopes of linear equations are opposite reciprocals, then they are perpendicular lines. The slope of the line y equals 5 is 5. True or false? That's false. Y equals 0x plus 5. The slope is 0. The linear equation, 12 is the constant. That is true. The standard form of the equation is no. False. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. The graph of x equals -4 is a vertical line. That is true. To find the x-intercept, substitute 0 in for the x value, 0 in for the y value. So that's false. Which table is not a function? So we got to see, is there any repeating numbers? You're telling me 2 goes to 4 and then 2 goes to 16, not a function. Find the rate of change or slope represented in the table. So this is change in y over change in x. Your change in y is 0 over your change in x, which was 2, so it's 0. There's no graph here, so just ignore that. Here, it says graph the linear equation using x and y intercepts. To find an x-intercept, put 0 in for y, 0 in for y. To find a y-intercept, put 0 in for x. So your x-intercept is 3, 0. Your y-intercept is 0, -6. And that's your equation. Here they want you to match. I have to get y by itself. So this one is y equals 2x plus 3. This one I have to get y by itself, so I kick that 2x over, which makes it negative. So I start here, so this is y equals -2x plus 7. Here I have to get x by itself, so x equals 3. So go over to the x, go over to 3, and this is x equals 3. I have to get y by itself here, so y equals 3. Let's go 1, 2, 3, y equals 3. I want you to pause and really try this. And then the last page, given the equation in point slope form, given the equation in point slope form, we're going to rearrange it into slope intercept form and then into standard. So I have to distribute the slope of 7/8 to both terms. It's going to be -21 over 8. Then we're going to subtract 2 to both sides. You could just simply in your calculator to convert -21 divided by 8 minus 2. I don't like that. Math button, fraction, enter. -37 over 8 is fine. If you want to leave it as a decimal, that's fine too. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. So I need to get x and y on the same side. Y is already on the left-hand side, so I'm going to move the x to the left, which would make it negative. And c then is 37 over 8. However, we can't have a negative with a. It has to be positive. So I'll multiply by a negative, which would then turn this positive y into a negative, and the 37/8 is now positive. But we also have a fraction. We're dividing by 8 for both, so let's multiply by 8 for both. The 8s would disappear and I'd get 7x. I'd transfer to the y, and then we're left with 37. For the next, it says write each equation in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, given the following information. So you're going to need a slope and a y-intercept. I encourage students to simply use the point slope form first. This way, you just put in your slope, you put in your point, and your y-intercept b just naturally appears. You don't have to go plug in m, plug in b, and then rewrite. It's just there for you. So y equals -1x plus 6. You're going to do the same thing for here and here, except this time you have to figure out what slope is. So we'll use the slope formula. Subtract your y's. Be careful of the negative. My slope is 2. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Normally, I would use your x1 and your y1, but your x1 and your y1 have negatives, and I don't really want to deal with that. So I'm going to pick this y and this x instead. But it needs to be in slope-intercept form, so we're going to rearrange. When I add 4, it's just going to simply be a 2x. The y-intercept is 0. Okay, same thing for the next one. We have to find the slope, which is 4 minus 4 over 6 minus 5. A lot of students kind of freeze and just are like, I don't know, is it no slope? Is it none? Well, always try in your calculator. You're going to get an answer. 0 divided by 1, it's either going to error or give you 0. 0. 0 is a slope. 0 is a number. So treat it as such. Zero is going to wipe this whole thing out. And then when you add 4 on both sides, that's your equation. Okay, a local recreation center offers a yearly membership for $265. The center offers aerobic classes for additional $5 per class. That is a rate of change. Write an equation that represents the total cost of a membership. So the cost of a membership is you begin with B and you move with M. So you begin with your y-intercept. You begin with 265 and your slope is $5 per class. You can write baby C, but we already have a C for cost. So let's just treat it as X. So it says Carly spent $500 in 1 year. So that was your total. That was your output. How many aerobics classes did she take? So she spent $500, remove the $265 for the initial gym fee. So $235 is what she paid for in classes. So divide by 5 for each aerobic class. And you get 47 classes. Last one, it says a rectangle is a quadrilateral that has opposite sides parallel and consecutive sides that are perpendicular. When I see those words parallel and perpendicular, I'm thinking of slopes. So I'll call this line 1, line 2, line 3, and line 4. Okay. They want to determine if the quadrilateral is a square. To do such, you'd have to find the length of the sides, and the angles need to be perpendicular and parallel. So we'll just say it's a rectangle / square. All we really care about is if the angles make 90 degrees and then the opposite sides are parallel. So let's find the slope for line 1 and line 3. Okay, the slope is M. So line 1 slope and line 3 slope, we want them to be the same. We're going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1, so they both have the same slope of 1, or 1 over 1. If you look at line 2 and line 4, do they have the same slope? Down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1. Or I'm sorry, down 1, right 1. So down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, which is just -1. And they're opposite reciprocals. So these are the same slopes. These are the same slopes. And then these are opposite reciprocals. So they are perpendicular. So it is a rectangle. At least to find the length of the sides, you would need the distance formula. But if you notice here, -5 to 5, -5 to -5, they would be the same lengths. Okay, but we really aren't too concerned with that. So yes, it is.